Hello, and welcome to Lately Fashionable, which is the name that I wish I had come up with my YouTube channel 3 years ago when I first started it, or better yet, my blog 11 years ago. But unfortunately, I only had the idea for the name a week ago. So, welcome to my rebrand. Because why not? New year, new channel name. Sure, even though January is already half over. Because of course it is. But that's okay because I have made a New Year's resolution for next year. Let me explain. I have been wanting for ages at this point to start wearing vintage in my everyday life every day. And currently I do not have enough clothes to make that a reality. So I decided that I want to make that my mission for this coming year to sew all the clothes that I will need for next year. So, New Year's resolution 2025 is going to be wear vintage every day, or at least wear clothes that I can style in a vintage manner aesthetic every day. And that started with taking inventory of all the clothes that I have made from either original true vintage patterns or vintage reprint patterns. It's definitely more of the latter, but I have been collecting original vintage patterns for quite some time, and I'm starting to use them more and get more comfortable with them. I'm learning a lot. I really enjoy working with them, and I have lots of plans for the sewing for the next 12 months, at least, which I will share after we go through what I already have. And these are all vintage inspired pieces that I have made. I do not own any true vintage because that is an expensive and time-consuming hobby that I do not have the resources for currently. And quite frankly, I would rather sew my own. I enjoy sewing. I enjoy designing and coming up with fun ideas and being inspired by images from history. And I've been doing that for some time, but more focused on older history. And now I'm going to focus more on the 20th century of American middle-class fashion. So like I said, I've been taking inventory. I have been tracking it all in this notebook, both what I've already made and what I plan to make, things that I have fabric and patterns for that I think will work well in a wardrobe together. I'm going to go through these roughly chronologically from when I made them, but also grouped by decade. Most of them are from 1940s, so that's where we're going to start. I made this dress in 2016. It is from a reprint Butterick pattern, and I made it from vintage wool, actually. Not 1940s wool, probably. It was from my grandmother's sewing stash that she passed on to my mother, who then passed it on to me because she realized she was never going to use it. Actually, a lot of the fabric I got that way was wool, or a wool blend at least. And this one was my favorite, so I made it up pretty much immediately into this dress, which I really love. It doesn't fit me currently. I did try all of these on yesterday, so I will show you what that looked like as I talk about them. So, this dress does not currently fit me. I think I can let it out at the side seams enough to be able to zip it again. And I also recently added a pocket to the side seam that doesn't have a zipper in it because I found the very small scraps of remaining fabric. Oh, speaking of, when I made it, I wanted long sleeves, but these are the longest sleeves I could get from the pattern, but I wanted it to be a cold weather dress. And so it kind of became a spring and fall wool dress. It is very comfortable. I lined it with rayon, and I have worn it a bunch. I wish I could still wear it, but we'll see if we can fix that. It does have an invisible side zipper. I really hate sewing zippers, but invisible zippers are the least of the evil when it comes to zippers. And this dress gets a 10 out of 10 rating from me because when it does fit, I really love wearing it. This one I also made in 2016. You'll notice many of these dresses were made in 2016. Agent Carter had just come out the previous year, and I was obsessed with that show. I'm still upset that we didn't get a third season and it ended on a cliffhanger, but Peggy Carter is probably my favorite MCU character, and I love her fashion in that show so much. I wanted everything she wore. This dress is nothing like what she wore in the show, but I was inspired by that show to start making a 1940s wardrobe back in 2016. So that's where it all started. Anyway, back to this dress, which I really love. It was also a reprint Butterick pattern. I made it from rayon. I think I bought a remnant and there was not enough to make the dress as the pattern was printed. So I shortened the hem about 4 inches and made it work. I really loved wearing this one. It is also too small now, but it was really comfortable and just really fun to wear. I felt adorable every time I put it on, and it gets a 9 out of 10, mostly because it's a little shorter than I wanted it to be, and it no longer fits. I miss it. Has a special place in my heart, even though it doesn't have pockets. I don't know what I was thinking. This dress, also made in 2016, was from a reprint Simplicity pattern. A lot of the big 4 pattern companies were definitely jumping on the Agent Carter bandwagon and reprinting a lot of their 1940s styles, and this is one of them. I used a very cheap polyester satin, and I have regretted it ever since. I love the floral print. I think it's very pretty and fun, and I think this dress is super flattering on me, and it does still fit. However, it's a warm weather dress, but I can't wear it in warm weather because it's polyester and it doesn't breathe. It feels like I'm wearing a trash bag, and it's awful. I have vowed twice now never to wear this dress again, and I am never going to wear this dress again. Just not happening. Even though it has pockets, which I added. The pattern didn't call for them, but I added them. 4 out of 10, just because the fabric is bad. I will make this pattern again in better fabric, and I will love it. Speaking of love, I really love this dress. This was my first maternity dress that I ever made, and my first true vintage pattern that I ever worked with. So it was quite an adventure. I also made it out of a very small fitted sheet. I think it was for a twin bed. Not much fabric, but it was actually enough to get the whole sundress out of. I really love this dress. I think it turned out super cute. It was very comfortable to wear during my pregnancy, and I have worn it since, and for my second pregnancy, and since then. And it's very comfortable because it's very adjustable, because it's made for pregnancy. Also, there are no closures. It goes on over my head, and you just kind of pleat the center front and tie. It does call for hooks and eyes, which I added the eyes, but never the hooks for some reason. I just couldn't be bothered, so I just used the tie to hold it closed. And this is definitely a cotton poly blend sheet because it does not wrinkle, and I don't have to iron it, which is fantastic. And it makes me very happy. I love the print of the cotton. I find it very charming, and I think it works well for this style of dress. And it has pockets, which I added, and it just makes me smile. I should wear it more. I can't right now because it's winter, but 10 out of 10. Oh, I made it in 2017 while I was pregnant with my daughter. Also in 2017, also maternity, also original vintage pattern from the 1940s. This one I made out of rayon. I bought a remnant online. It's such a fun, bright, happy print that it makes me smile. It's also very comfortable. It tightens at the waist with these drawstring ties, and it has pockets which desperately need to be ironed, but the pockets are built in to the structure of the dress, and they're a decorative element as well as being functional, which makes me so happy. It is also, obviously, very adjustable. It goes on over my head. It does have button closures at the top just to keep the neckline from gaping, and it's a great dress. 9.5 out of 10. I'm only taking off 0.5 because I do have to iron it a little bit. So it's not the perfect dress, but it's close. Now that one was kind of a house dress, and this one is quite a bit more formal. And I really do love it, but I kind of regret my fabric choice again. We're back to the reprint simplicity patterns, and I really liked the contrast idea on this one, and I used the same fabric for both the main body of the dress and the contrast yoke. I just used the wrong side of the crepe back satin for the main dress and the satin side for the contrast. I thought that was very clever, and it made me happy. However, this crepe back satin does snag really easily, and I have to be more careful with this dress. Also, it does fit me still, but as you will see, I cannot zip it up all the way. It has a center back zipper. I can't zip it up on myself because the sleeves are so tight, I can't reach the zipper. And the sleeves, being as tight as they are, does make it not comfortable. It's not uncomfortable. Like, I can wear it for a few hours and be fine, but it's definitely not a dress I want to wear all day long. And also, it doesn't have pockets. And this one I think I made in 2018. I did not document it in my blog, so I'm not entirely sure, but I found pictures of me wearing it as far back as November of 2018, so that's when I think it's from. I'm kind of surprised that I actually did the zipper on the back. I have found I am allergic to sewing zippers, especially lapped zippers, which just have always been the bane of my existence. This one looks really good though. I wonder if I had my mom do it. Oh, that's what I used to do when I was learning to sew. Mom, can you do the zipper for me? Anyway, 7 out of 10. It's a great looking dress, but not very practical. I kind of took a break from sewing vintage for a while there and came back to it in 2020, which you can see in a previous video from early on in my channel days. I made this skirt and this blouse from the same Simplicity reprint pattern, which I have now used several times, mostly for the skirt. I originally set out to sew 7 garments from that pattern. I cut them all out, and I only finished these 2 in the week that I allotted myself to do that sewing. What was I thinking? And I do like how they turned out, but I don't wear them very often. The skirt, the fabric is a wool blend, I think. It has metallic threads running through it, and the first time I wore it, it was super scratchy and uncomfortable. So I went back in and added a lining just so that it wouldn't be scratching up my legs all the time. And it is now a little bit too small in the waist. I'm also not crazy about the hooks and eyes I put on the placket. They're really fiddly to do up every time, and I don't think that they look the best. So I might take this waistband off and give it a bigger one with a different closure. So we'll see. But it is comfortable even if it's a little small, and it does have pockets. 8 out of 10. Now the blouse, like I said, I'm really happy with how it came out, especially considering the fabric I used, which was a cheap polyester charmeuse, which I thought was going to be awful to work with, but it actually wasn't too bad, even with all of the darts on this pattern, and I hate sewing darts almost as much as I hate sewing zippers. But the pattern is really good. It came together really well. It fits, it looks nice. It's just not really my style, and I don't like the color. I don't think it looks that great on me, so I just don't wear it very much. Also, the sleeves are a little tight, although they're not as long as the green dress, so it's not as big a problem, and I can button the back neck button without help. The blouse is a 6 out of 10. That was not the end of the 1940s wardrobe plans that I made in 2020, though most of those did not actually come to fruition. I had at this point collected several true vintage 1940s maternity patterns, and now that I was pregnant again, I was planning to make a bunch of them, and then I lost the patterns for like 6 months, the bulk of my pregnancy. The one pattern I did not lose was this one, and I picked the wrong fabric. I have a whole video about why this dress did not work, but this dress did not work. And it's really sad because it's comfortable and it fits me because it's adjustable, because it's maternity, but I used the wrong fabric and that causes a lot of problems. I don't want to get into all of the reasons I will never wear this dress again, but one of them I don't think I talked about in that video, which is that this button tore, and then I fixed it, and then I wore it again, and it tore again. So the skirt, I think, is too long and too tight, and the fabric is too weak for this button to actually function. So I'm just never gonna wear it again. And that's sad because I put a lot of work into it, and I really wanted it to work, and it really doesn't. And I made bound buttonholes. And it has pockets. I want it to work. Also, the color, it's not my favorite. It's just not. I like bold, bright, saturated colors, and this is none of those things. So it's just not the right dress for me. 4 out of 10. Okay, now, from the same maternity pattern as the first maternity dress I made, I also went back and made this blouse while I was pregnant with my son to go with the dress I made while I was pregnant with my daughter. And I do really like this blouse. I don't wear it very often, probably because it has to be ironed every time I wash it, and I hate ironing. I hate it, but I do really like it. It's a great blouse. It's a little weird and it's a little hard to style, but it does go great with the sundress. I really like that look. And it goes great with the skirt I'm going to talk about next. And it's comfortable, it's adjustable. I put a lot of work into the details, just making the flat felt seams really nice. And I think I sewed the buttonholes by hand. I did. I sewed these by hand. They look really good. And I really like the buttons I chose. Like perfectly suited the fabric. Makes me really happy. I did add the drawstring later because I was having trouble wearing it with things that were not the dress it was made to go with. So I just wanted to have another option for wearing it. It's kind of weird, but it gets a 9 out of 10, and the 9 is only because it has to be ironed, and I don't like it. And that's just down to the fabric I chose. Now the skirt that I paired that blouse with, this is also from that reprint Simplicity pattern that I made the other skirt from. I cut this pattern out back in 2020 when I cut out the rest of that wardrobe, but I only sewed it together last year in 2023. And I just made some modifications to it. First of all, neither skirt was supposed to have a placket. They both called for side zippers, but as previously discussed, I am allergic to sewing zippers, so I changed it to a placket and added the pockets. And I'm not sure either placket is very successful because you can see the closures on both of them when it's closed, just because of the way I put the pockets in. And I might be able to fix that. I do have more of this fabric, so we might be fixing it eventually. This one does have some problems, mostly related to the fabric choice, and also you can see the seams kind of puckering along the sides. They do the same in the back because on those seams I bound them on the inside with seam binding that then shrank in the wash. So that was not very successful. I did redo the seam binding after it shrank, and it has it still puckers a little bit, not as bad as it was. But also my cheap polyester gabardine fabric is pilling quite a bit, but I do wear it a lot. It is very comfortable and practical because it has the pockets. I guess, you know what, 9 out of 10, because I do wear it a lot. But I wear this one even more. It is the same fabric in a different color and sort of the same pattern, but only in the front. In the back, it is an Edwardian walking skirt pattern, specifically the Scroop Patterns fantail skirt, which I've made 2 Edwardian skirts out of that I also wear in my daily life because I love them and they're very comfortable. So I thought, why not combine my 2 favorite skirt patterns, which is what I did. And then for this one, I also made the modification of split sides at the pockets, and I love it so much. If you're not familiar with the split side skirt concept, you should check out Charlie of the Stitchery. I found her channel after I'd already made this skirt, and she has done a whole series of videos on split side skirts and split side pinafores and split side dresses and just all of the different ways it can be done. And I've gotten a lot of ideas from her. So I have plans for more like this in the future, and I've made a couple others that aren't 1940s adjacent, but yeah, I really love this skirt. I wear it all the time, 10 out of 10, no notes. I forgot to say I made it last year, 2023. Now we're gonna have to jump back in time to 2016, but forward in time fashion-wise, because we're entering the 60s. I made this dress from a very small amount of fabric. Basically what you see here is the amount of fabric I had. I cut out a little bit of the armhole and a little bit at the neckline, and that was it. This is the fabric I had to work with. And I had to use a different fabric for the yoke, and I had to add a yoke to the back because the pattern didn't call for a yoke in the back, but I didn't have enough. This was an original McCall's pattern. I think it was from my mom's stash from the 60s. Might have been my grandma's. And it's very cute. It's very tight now around the arms, so I don't wear it anymore. It's also very short, and it doesn't have pockets, so it does not fit into my life anymore. But you know what? Someday my daughter will be able to wear it. Maybe when she's a teenager, the 60s will be back, and she loves purple, so 6 out of 10. All right, also from the 60s, but a dress I made in 2020. I love this dress. I love it so much. I'm going to try not to move it around too much because it's silk taffeta, and it does the taffeta thing where it makes a lot of noise, which, to be honest, is one of the fun things about wearing it. I love the swish of taffeta. And I really love this dress. It came out exactly how I wanted it to. It's from an original Simplicity pattern from 1963, and it's just so fun, which actually makes up for it not having pockets. I thought about putting pockets in, but the skirt is all one piece and just has a center back seam, so I really didn't want to cut in to make pockets. And to be honest, this style of dress, anytime I wear it, I'm going to have a clutch purse, so it's okay that it doesn't have pockets. And it's a dress that I only wear for a couple hours at a time. So yeah, 10 out of 10. No notes. Look at the back. I love it. And last but certainly not least, this dress is the most worn item I have on this entire garment rack. I adore this dress. I made it in 2016. It's from a reprint Simplicity pattern for a faux wrap dress with a back zipper for some odd reason. And I made it a real wrap dress because why would I sew a zipper when I could just not? It is a cotton voile. It's very much outside my usual color scheme, and the print is kind of wild, and I needed to have it, and I needed to make something 70s from it. That was abundantly clear from the beginning. And the 70s wrap dress pattern was perfect, even though I didn't have enough fabric to make the extra wide, extra long belt tie that goes with the dress. So I just made very skinny ties from the fabric I had left. But this is the dress that during spring, summer, and fall, I wear it, I wash it, and then as soon as it comes out of the laundry, I wear it again. It just makes me so happy. It's so comfortable. It has pockets, which I added, and the sleeves are really fun. They're full and flowy without getting in my way, and they're just that little bit of drama that I sometimes need in my life. I also did a thing after I'd worn it and washed it a few times and got really tired of the ties getting tangled up with everything else in the washer and dryer. I removed them and added buttons. So the ties have button holes, and then they button on to the dress, and they function just the same as regular wrap ties. So I either don't wash them or I wash them separately by just throwing them in a garment bag, and then they need to be ironed. But most of the rest of this dress does not need to be ironed usually. If I take it straight out of the dryer and hang it up, it'll be fine. But the ties do need ironing. But honestly, I love this dress so much that that's worth it, and it doesn't even get knocked down a half a point. So this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Absolutely love. And because it's a true wrap dress, I was able to wear this through both of my pregnancies, and it's great for breastfeeding because it opens in the front, so that was fantastic. And it has grown with me. I wear a tank top under it normally, you know, just to fill in that décolletage area. It's just great. It's just a great dress. So that's my vintage wardrobe collection so far. So that's 15 pieces total, but out of them I only have 3 dresses that are comfortable, fit me, I like to wear, and have pockets. And we can add 2 more back if we're not discounting them because of the lack of pockets, because those dresses do fit me and I do like wearing them. But then there's also only 2 skirts that fit that bill and 2 blouses. So that's not very much. So let's talk about my plans for sewing. I may make a second part of this video. We'll see how it ends up in the edit. Yeah, it'll be 2 parts. If you enjoyed this video, please do give me a like. Let me know in the comments which of these outfits was your favorite. And if you want to join me on my journey of dressing vintage, definitely subscribe. And I will see you soon with another video. Bye.